Hi everybody, it's episode 483 PodQuest.
Hey!
It is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. I am Chris, with me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
So, here's the thing about Baldur's Gate, guys, because I know you definitely heard my talk about it last week. It's a really great game. That's what I said last, right? That's what I said?
So, I don't know if you actually checked the recording that I posted. I did not cut anything.
I didn't. Why didn't you just cut it after I didn't have anything and just be like, all right, we lost shit because we lost shit. It happens.
So literally, like, you cut out in the middle of us talking about World War Z?
Yeah.
So what I did was, I added a little disclaimer to the front that was like, hey, check the timestamps. At a certain point, we lose Richie's audio. And then it's just me and Drew saying things occasionally to Richie with no, not really knowing what the fuck's going on.
I promise you guys this. I was watching my Audacity the entire time. It was recording for 2 hours.
I'm thinking it stopped at some point, and you just didn't realize. You spaced out, and all of a sudden 2 hours later when you just didn't know.
I mean, I was watching. It was 2 hours. Like, I swear I was watching, because that's the one thing I always do, like, when we're recording. Even when we're recording Brose, we do it over both Zencastr and Audacity. And I will watch both, my wavelengths in both. And I will watch and make sure it's still recording in both, because there have been times where somebody has disappeared and we didn't catch us. It's like, all right, we gotta stop for a second because so-and-so got disconnected. So, like, I watch the waveforms. I make sure they are top of the screen, and I watch the counter go.
I believe you. I don't, like I said, I don't think, like, you did anything wrong. I don't think it's your fault. I will blame you because it was your audio, but it's not your fault.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so, like, I put a little disclaimer up front, and then once we lost your audio, I cut it, and I added a little other, like, hey, this is where we lost Richie. The rest of the audio is still here if you want to keep listening. If not, like, here's the outro. And, like, I put like the outro and the ending music there, but then it just kept going. So people can listen to what came next, and
people can listen to you reacting to me about being bad at Baldur's.
Well, there's also, like, some of the stuff that, like, Drew said about World War Z.
Yeah.
Him responding to you, but obviously you weren't there to be responded to. It was good times all around.
Yeah. Yes. That's what we'll say. Good times.
But
hi, everyone.
Yeah. Hello. Hi. Well, welcome to PodQuest. We're back. We're gonna, we're using a backup recording again. I was lazy and didn't look for an alternative because we hadn't had a failure in a while, and Zencastr is no longer free for that stuff. So,
see, that's always what happens. That's literally always what happens. Is you're like, oh, we've been fine, and we have lost episodes in Brose, or lost audio in Brose, from using Zencastr, because Zencastr would crash when we were recording or getting any audio. And we would lose entire sessions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or at least lose the audio of one person from an entire session. And so it's like, at that point, we were backing up, and then for a while we didn't have any issues, so we stopped backing up, or at least the one person who lost their audio stopped backing up. And then they started backing up again after that happened. And it's like, always after it happens, we back up.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily it wasn't a whole show. And, like, up to this point, like, the worst we've had is, like, the couple times that, like, Drew's power has gone out and his recording stopped, or, like, a cat jumped on his keyboard and stopped the recording. And he's caught it, started the recording again, and I'm just able to, like, drop him back in. This just wasn't one of those cases. And, shit happens. We still had a product get posted. And, like, luckily the last thing that was said about World War Z was, like, it was at least a full thought.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you were mid-sentence and all of a sudden, like, your audio cut out and it's just like, well, no fucking clue what he was saying.
I mean, even if I listened to it, I have no fucking clue what I was saying. I don't even remember what I said a week ago.
I mean, that's how I feel just listening to you, so we're good.
Yeah.
No, but, we're good. We got backups on backups on backups. And by on backups, I mean we literally have a backup of the three of us recording in locally.
We have Craig.
Yeah. He's our new friend. I really like when he says now recording.
It's creepy as hell because it's very robotic.
I don't know. I think it sounds like a radio, like that classic radio guy.
I don't know. I think your quality of Craig is different than my quality of Craig. Like I can kind of hear what you're saying, but also it sounds very robotic.
Maybe that's just your ears. Maybe you need new ears.
I mean, everything else on me is broken, but I can't get them because of health insurance.
That is true. That is how America works.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
I don't know. That's just my go-to like segue, and I should really come up with a better one.
Yeah. Anyway.
What's on the agenda?
Let's see. Cobb, you want to talk about indie games? And does it really mean anything anymore? I'll put a disclaimer right now. There was an Indies on Tuesday. None of us cared about anything that showed up on there because it's the Indies, and
sometimes they're good. It's just this time nothing really looked all that.
And the other thing is just like everything that's on the Indies is already out on Steam or something else most of the time.
I mean, that is true in a lot of cases.
But yeah, so we're not really going to talk about the Indies, but we're going to talk about indie games, as well as pretty much all of the Game Award categories were announced for winners, and so that's where this Indies discussion is coming from. And now that the SAG-AFTRA strike is over, we can talk about stuff! Like, Cobb watched the show Fringe, I watched Marvels, the movie, Marvels. I also watched Guardians of the Galaxy, which I don't think we were allowed to talk about. Maybe we were, I can't remember. But that was forever ago. And I also watched the Attack on Titan, which we would have talked about whether or not SAG-AFTRA was over. And then I played some Baldur's Gate last week and this week.
Yeah, I figure Baldur's Gate will be that, like, if we're not going too long.
Yeah.
Also, the SAG-AFTRA strike maybe isn't over yet.
Well, they have lifted all of the stuff.
Okay, because I've seen a whole lot of actors being like, nah, this deal is bad. Let's not agree to this.
Yeah, so they're not happy with a lot of the AI protection stuff. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's future protection, but not past protection.
Or lack thereof protection, it seems.
Yeah. It's like, they can't use it going forward, but apparently if they've scanned you, they have you, and there's nothing. But as of Thursday last week, they were no longer officially on strike, so like all the content creation and promotion and stuff was no longer like an issue.
That's probably part why there was like 6 different fucking Marvel trailers that came out this past few days.
Oh yeah, everything everything's dropping like their new release dates and stuff now. Like like they released the Madam Web trailer. They confirmed that Superman is still coming out in July of 2025. A bunch of TV shows announced when their seasons are going to air in like spring winter, because like we're obviously not getting anything in the fall. The fall is over. Yeah. But yeah, so like the strike has at least been lifted for the time being. Whether or not like that contract actually gets ratified, like still got to wait and see, I believe. Mm-hmm. But at least for the time being, we can talk about some of that stuff again.
Which is fine.
Yeah. But the first thing, like Rich said, the Game Awards did announce their nominations for this year. And as usual, they had their indies category. And one of them is not like the others. So are you guys at all familiar with the game Dave the Diver?
I've heard the name.
I've seen it. I haven't played it or anything, but I've seen it.
Yeah, so it does have the look of a traditional indie game. Like, when you think indie games, that is sort of one of the... It's got that style. Small company, probably minus 20 employees at best. No corporation backing them. If they got a publisher, it was after they already made the game and, like, released it on Steam themselves. That is not the case for Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver is developed by Mint Rocket, which is owned by Nexon, which is a South Korean publisher that made like $2 billion in 2021. So that is the polar opposite of an indie game.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's from the list of nominees, which I have those somewhere here. It was one of the ones that got talked about the most, and I would not be surprised if it wins that category. And that's actually kind of shitty if it does. Where's that list? Here they are. So it's Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Town. Oh, no, this is Best Indie Debut. Sorry. So Best Independent Game was Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder. I feel like the only other one that maybe gets it is Sea of Stars. But I feel like people talked a lot more about Dave the Diver earlier in the year than they did Sea of Stars.
Well, Sea of Stars literally just came out
2 months ago.
In Game Awards, to me at least, that's just came out in gaming.
But keep in mind, like the Game Awards, the fan vote counts for like 1%. Most of the vote is by like industry people who really like Dave the Diver. Only kind of cared about Sea of Stars because Sea of Stars was an RPG, and a lot of modern game critics just don't care about turn-based RPGs.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a good chance that the Indie Award is going to go to a company worth $2 billion. And it makes you wonder, like, does that indie title actually even mean anything anymore?
See, that's the problem is if you look at, say, Dave the Diver on Google, its genre is an indie game. If you look at all of these games, its genre is an indie game, which that is not a genre.
Exactly.
Indie game is short. According to Wiki, if you click the indie game genre on Google, according to Wiki, its top link, it's an indie game short for independent video games. Video game typically created by individuals or smaller development teams without the financial blah blah blah. Without the financial and technical support of a large game publisher. Which agreed, Nexon I guess did make a lot, but I've never heard of any of these games that. Maybe MapleStory, but that's maybe where it puts them into more of the into the indie realm. Is most of these games are indie, like they are a developer of indie games, or
but they're
a publisher of indie games.
That's the thing. Like they're a company that does a lot of games in South Korea, which is where a lot of these ones that we've never heard of come from. And they do license games.
Nexon? You're talking Nexon?
Yeah.
They literally have 12 games in their All Games website.
I am looking at a whole lot more than that.
Unless Dave the Diver isn't listed on here, but...
So here's the thing. Nexon is both a publisher and a developer. So Nexon owns Mint Rocket. So that is a game developed by them. But they also just publish games. Like they've published licensed games like a Titanfall Online. They've published Counter-Strike spin-off things. What else have they done? They've been involved with like Korean servers for Final Fantasy 14. Same thing for like FIFA. Like literally they did FIFA for fucking Korea. Like they're not really an indie publisher that just happened to make a lot of money. And like the description for Best Independent Game, for the Game Awards in particular, is for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. This company is a traditional publisher. They just traditionally publish in Korea.
Well,
but not exclusively.
In fairness, Nexon did not publish Dave the Diver in the US.
Who did? Because the only publisher I can find listed for it.
Mint Rocket published it. Mint Rocket is listed as one of its publishers.
Mint Rocket is listed as the developer and publisher.
But Mint Rocket is owned by Nexon. They're a subsidiary of Nexon.
I mean, according to Steam, Mint Rocket did both, but it's the developer. They developed it just because. I get what you're saying because the idea of indie is they don't have the financial backing, but. Like, I feel like the idea of indie is a small team. And, if you click Mint Rocket on Steam, you get Dave the Diver, Cartwright Drift, MapleStory, Vindictus. You get 3 games.
And if you click them on Wikipedia, it takes you to the Nexon Wikipedia page.
But see, that's the thing. If you click on Google, if you click Nexon, and then you go onto Nexon's website, and you click all games, they only have 12 games listed, or 15 tops. My brain isn't counting right, I don't think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, 12.
4, 5, yeah, 12.
So I'm assuming those are games developed by them since MapleStory is there.
But Dave the Diver isn't listed on here.
Oh yeah, you're right, it's not.
But MapleStory is, which is also listed as Cartwright Drift and MapleStory, which are both listed as published by... Oh, Nexon. If you click Mint Rocket on Steam, it'll bring you to Nexon's page on Steam, which has Dave the Diver, Cartwright, and MapleStory. Yes, I didn't realize that it was Nexon's page.
And so, again, just to read the description, the award isn't for a small developer. It is literally for achievement outside of traditional publishing.
Yeah.
So, like, a small studio that gets published by a bigger company still wouldn't be an indie because they have a larger company backing and paying for the development of their game.
But
like,
it's outside of traditional publishing. That's where, like, you can get a little, because that's where you can get a little playful with the terminology. Unfortunately, it doesn't specifically say that traditional publishers have to make X amount of money. Like,
no, it doesn't, but like that is part of the problem with the way that it's being shown. Like, that is a game that has a huge backing financially. The other games on that list don't.
I mean, I don't. Annapurna is pretty huge.
Is Annapurna one of them too?
Yeah.
See, they're another one. Like,
they're
like
the publisher for Cocoon.
Okay, Rich, like you were saying before, like, these games that are listed as a genre of indie, that's not a fucking genre. And, like, that is basically what Annapurna does. And Drew, you're right. Like, they're not an indie publisher either. They're worth probably $1 billion.
And looking at Thunderful Games, who Thunderful Games published Viewfinder, which is the last game on there. Thunderful Games, if you look at their website and all of their games, they've got Super Meat Boy, they've got The Gunk, they've got they've got a ton of fucking games. They got a boatload of games under their publishing as well. I haven't looked into how much money they made last year, but they've published a boatload of games over the years.
Sorry, which one were you talking about?
Thunderful and for the game Viewfinder. That's Thunderful.
Yeah, and Team 17 is Worms and Overcooked and like again, not massive publishers, but
yeah, and
they
like
do a lot of shit.
Like, looking at like Annapurna, like Annapurna Interactive, the game side is owned by Annapurna Pictures, which is an independent media company. They do movies. They don't do small movies though. Like, they did that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix and I think it was Scarlett Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
They did American Hustle. They did Terminator Genesis.
But that's outside traditional publishing because the publisher is a movie publisher and not a game publisher.
But like, that is bullshit.
That's when you use the language outside traditional publishing. That is where the traditional publishing right now are AAA publishers: Xbox, PlayStation, EA,
Ubisoft.
Yeah,
anything that's not created by the big 5-6 teams. Well, I mean, it's only like 4 now because Microsoft pretty much owns them all. Anything not published by them, people, I guess, under this terminology, consider that an indie developed game because it's a small publisher. Do I agree that it should be considered that? No, not at all. I think an indie game should legitimately be an independent game, a game made from an independent studio that had little to no help in publish and published it themselves. Like Dreamsoft Games. Friends of mine are making an RPG. That is an independent game. They're not getting any publishing help. They're doing it themselves.
Do you know what else is technically an independent game? What is actually an indie game that isn't on that list?
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Baldur's Gate came... Well, I mean, no, it officially was released this year, but it's been on early access for, like, 5 years.
But still, it was never up for an award previously, and
yeah.
To be fair, like, I'm not saying Baldur's Gate should be on that list. It's nominated for, like, 8 other awards. Like, it is doing fine. But, like, Baldur's Gate 3, specifically, is actually an indie game. Like, Larian Studios is a private studio. They do not have, like, a larger owner. Like, they published it themselves. Like, they're a much larger studio because they've been around for, like, 25, 30 years. But it's still, like, why aren't they included, but the company that's worth $2 billion is? It's because one game looks like an indie game and the other one doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, yes. Most likely.
Like, look at the 4 or 5 games that are nominated. They all look the same. Well, not like they don't look exactly the same. Like, they all have their own styles, but like, none of them look like a AAA game like Baldur's Gate does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of them require, a fucking powerful PC to play it on PC. Like, half of them are probably also mobile games.
and like, I totally agree with what you're saying when it comes to like the fact that Dave the Diver has this big backing. I haven't looked up anything about Dredge yet, but I've heard Dredge is fantastic. And Team 17, who published it, I think that was the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know anything about Team 7. I have no.
They made Worms.
Yeah,
which
is
there's like
a money printer.
50 of them.
Yeah. So, but it's like it I don't know. It's the terminology. Like, it is an indie game because it's a small studio. And also, this gets into the nitty-gritty of how much funding did they get from the publisher, or did they just go to the publisher to get the name right? Like,
for which one?
Any of them. Like,
I mean, some of them are owned by the publisher, right? Like the Studio 17 or whatever. Like, they are also their publisher.
Yeah.
And like Mint Rocket is owned by Nexon. It's not like they had to go to Nexon. Nexon's just like, you're the studio, make the game, we publish it. It's all just gets listed under Mint Rocket so that it looks like it's not a Nexon game. It's the same way that like Activision, while they owned, since they're all owned by Microsoft now, Blizzard and King, and wasn't there a third one? No, it was Activision, Blizzard, King. Like, they still publish those games separately. Like, Blizzard games were published as Blizzard games. Activision games published as Activision games.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like a tax break or something fucking stupid. But yeah, it's silly. Like, if you're not going to pick actual indie studios that aren't backed by very large pockets, fucking get rid of the category.
Yeah.
Like, or like rename it to like simple graphics or something. Like old school graphics. Like whatever you want to call it. Like,
but see,
just because it's 2D or pixely doesn't make it an indie game.
But see, then again, Dredge would not fit into the category of like old school pixel graphics or anything. Dredge is a different kind of game.
I don't know what Dredge even looks like.
Dredge is a majority of the game you're riding on a boat, and it's like a isometric view, and it's more of a 3D type thing. It's very dark. It's a dark style. I don't know. It's been on my list. I've just never been able to get it.
And neither would Viewfinder, because that's a first-person puzzle game.
Yeah.
Fine. It's also funny that they literally have two categories that are indie related. They have the best independent game, which is the one we've been talking about, and then they also have best debut indie, which is for the best debut game created by a new independent studio. But that is basically all of the ones that we already talked about.
Well, see, that's the thing. It doesn't have the game you're talking about.
No, but it's 3 of the 5 games that are in the other categories. So Cocoon, Dredge, and Viewfinder are all in there.
And Pizza Tower.
Pizza Tower's not in the other one.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was. But
the only two, the two that aren't in there are the Pizza Tower and Venba,
yeah.
And yeah, like the one is Annapurna. Like, that is not yes, that studio is new, but they're being backed by a company that has millions of dollars. That basically just makes a market on, we make games that look like what you think an indie game is. It's stupid, and I don't like it.
Alright, Cocoon also would not be in your, 2D.
Okay. I've never heard of any of them except for Dave the Diver, and so of the debut ones, I haven't heard of any of them. Of the, best independent game, I've only heard of Dave the Diver and Sea of Stars.
And that's where, maybe we need to reassess, or maybe the game industry as a whole needs to reassess the idea of indie, because specifically, Annapurna, you're right. I hear that name for every fucking... this is the first time I've heard Nexon, but that's mostly because I don't really pay attention to publishers.
They're also primarily Korean. They don't release a lot of global games. They release a lot of games in South Korea.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny. It's weird. Again, the Game Awards are kind of a crap show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have fun watching them, not really for the awards, but just for everything else in between. It's one of those things where it's a 3-hour show. They give away 7 awards on the show. If that.
Seriously.
Almost every award they do in the pre-show as just such and such won this award. It's worse than the Oscars. The majority of the show are ad breaks, because that's how they're paying for it, which I get. They don't, they're not on traditional TV. They don't have, crazy money for this. And, they do, they do put on like a big show. Like they do have a large studio audience. I want to say it's at like the Microsoft theater in Los Angeles. But it's like that. It's like musical performances that are incredibly hit or miss, and trailers.
I'm going through some of the categories, and here's where I'm probably more mid. Little bit. Only by a bit. Idris Elba is up for Best Performance. He's an actual fucking actor. Please don't give him an award.
They're all actors, sir.
I mean, yes, Cameron Monaghan also probably shouldn't qualify, but they're all friggin' just, they're not as big, like, he's a big name, it's what you're saying with...
No, I mean, I agree, like, if he gets the award, it's based on his name, not on necessarily the game, because I've heard very few people talk about Idris Elba in Cyberpunk. I've heard tons of people talk about the dude who did the vampire elf in Baldur's Gate, and Yuri Lowenthal's Peter Parker.
Yeah. But, like, most of them, with the exception of Cameron and Idris Elba, I don't really know, actually, but I'm assuming most of them are primarily voice actors and game voice actors. And I feel like that might be something that they should probably lean on more, because if they're going to start giving awards away to companies that get mainstream actors like Cyberpunk 2077 with Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba, and then give them the awards for best performance, like, nothing against voice actors, but no fucking shit they're going to have the best performance. They're fucking award-winning actors. They're obviously going to have the best performance.
That's not necessarily true. Not all actors are good voice actors.
But in a game like, say, Cyberpunk, where it wasn't just voice acting, it was also mocap. A game like Jedi Survivor, which it was a lot of mocap, as well as the voice acting, like, that's where...
They're not done together, though.
True.
And that's the thing, like, yeah, like, and at this point, like, all these games are mocap, except apparently the fucking World of Warcraft trailer was not mocap. I don't know if you guys saw any of that.
It was shared on my Discord because they thought it was an actual Warcraft game or some shit like that. No, they thought it was a movie because it looked that fucking good.
But yeah, it's actually just like sculpted by their digital artists, which what the fuck. But yeah, like I'm like most of the games that are nominated for that are mocap, and it's like Yuri Lowenthal is he's a voice actor. Like he primarily does voice acting. I don't know the other guy's name who did Baldur's Gate 3. But, like, Cameron Monaghan and Idris Elba, like, they are actors. They have absolutely done voice roles. And, like, that they are good at it. Like, it's not like they're bad, but, like, there are definitely actors that, like, you put them in front of a camera, and they have to, like, do dialogue and do different takes. Great. You put them in just, like, an ADR box and say, like, all right, like, we need you to record this like this is happening, and they can't do it because they're not acting, like they're not acting the way that they're used to.
Yeah.
But, like, either way, I agree. Like, they're, like, and I get it. Like, Keeley uses these awards. Well, he doesn't use the awards, but, like, he tries to get these names at the awards to give it some sort of, like, credence and get more people tuned into it, not just viewership-wise, but, like, organization-wise, so that it can make money so that he can keep doing it. Because it's not like he can just, like, fund it out of his pocket. But, like, at a certain point, like, it's called the Game Awards. Like, let's give awards to the actual games, not to the esport team of the year.
I'm going through some of the categories again. And I want to just ask, lastly, what is your pick? Do you feel like you can make a pick for Game of the Year? Which one would you pick?
For Game of the Year?
Game of the Year. So it's Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mario Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean, absolutely, Spider-Man.
Drew, would you be able to make a pick?
I mean, I have not played any of them. Yeah, my guess on what will win is Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate's probably going to win, and that's what I would unfortunately have to pick, because that's the only game I played out of this list. I've wanted to play all except for Resident Evil 4. Like, I've wanted to play them all. I don't care to play Resident Evil 4 until I can get it for under $15.
Wow, I think Resident Evil 4 is the only one I haven't played.
You played Alan Wake? Didn't that just come out?
Oh, no, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Alan Wake 2 I have not played.
Yeah.
But I played Tears of the Kingdom. I don't like it. I played Baldur's Gate 3. It's fine. Like, I am not upset if that one gets Game of the Year, because I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
But it's also just, it's not necessarily for me either. Mario Wonder, I think, is actually kind of disappointing. Like, it's a very well done Mario game, but it's way too fucking easy. And Spider-Man was fantastic.
Nice.
Game of the decade, Spider-Man 2. You heard it here, folks.
I mean, it probably is a close runner-up if it does. If Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't win, it's gonna be Spider-Man, I think.
That or fucking Legend of Zelda for some stupid fucking reason.
I mean, Legend of Zelda, it's gotten to a point where it's still oversaturated in like stream markets and things like that right now. So you're right.
But I also really don't think Tears of the Kingdom got the critical reception that Breath of the Wild did.
At least not it didn't have the same, like, longevity. Like, it got, like, its 10s, everyone loved it the month it came out. But, like, I remember Tears of the Kingdom being talked about right up through the holiday season.
Or
and
Breath
like,
of the Wild, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Breath of the Wild. And, like, I don't really hear people talk about Tears of the Kingdom anymore. Like, by, like, the end of June, a lot of that had died out, unless, like, you're, like Richie said, you're, like, watching, like, the Twitch front page sort of stuff.
I mean, there's still about 1,000 people watching Tears of the Kingdom right now. I just checked on stream, or on Twitch. Yeah. About 1,000 people playing, 1.1k people watching with one person at 500 views. So that's really kicking the views up high. But, I mean, I feel like, I don't remember what came out when the original Breath of the Wild came out, but I feel like that may have something to do with maybe games released that year. This year was hot with games. And I don't remember what came out the year Breath of the Wild came out.
Mario Odyssey.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah. Right. It was like 3 days before.
2017 was a pretty banger year.
Yeah. Of course, I'm drawing a blank on all the other games right now.
Yeah.
But I do remember Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, and Horizon all came out that year. Because that was the launch year for the Switch. So any year one Switch games were pretty good.
Fucking PUBG came out that year.
So 2017 Game Awards.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
2017 Game Awards, Mario Odyssey, PUBG, Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, Breath of the Wild were the Game of the Year picks.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So, I yes, those are big. PUBG is an indie game. Made it to the Game of the Year. I believe PUBG's an indie game.
I think at the time it was.
Yeah. But
that was also the one that was in weird contention because it also wasn't a finished game.
Look, Resident Evil.
I mean, that was when it finally came out of early access or whatever.
Oh, 2017 was when it came out of early access? When did it win Giant Bomb's Game of the Year? I thought that was the same year, was it not?
Yeah, probably.
Wow. I'm looking at 2017's lists or nominees and whatnot. Fucking Resident Evil 7 wasn't even on Game of the Year. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which I thought was a fantastic fucking game, wasn't part of Game of the Year. Surprisingly, Cuphead wasn't part of Game of the Year. Like, alright, so 2017 was fairly stacked. Life is Strange, Before the Storm, came out that year.
Was a real good Life is Strange game.
So yeah, 2017 was a big year, but I still think even the titles that are on Game of the Year Mario Odyssey and in my opinion, Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild were the two biggest games of that year. I will fully admit I've tried playing Horizon Zero Dawn and I don't give a shit.
I mean, and that's fair. Like, if not every game is going to be for every person, right?
Yeah, but I think based on this list of these 5 and the list of this year's 6. With the exception of Resident Evil 4, which, I mean, even Resident Evil 4 Remake was a huge title. These are all much bigger titles than 2017.
I don't agree. Everything on 2017's higher than Alan Wake.
Alan Wake 2 has
people love Alan Wake 2?
I mean, it's getting a lot of buzz. It's not nearly as mass market as any of the other ones.
It might not be mass market, but the buzz is what matters. It's getting a lot of buzz. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people love those games, love the Control universe. Like, people love that game. I know people who would not normally play a game like Alan Wake that are playing Alan Wake. Same, Baldur's Gate is all the buzz, at least for a while. Tears of the Kingdom was, like, within the past month and a half, we've literally had 4 of the games that are on this list released. Well, let's say 3 months, because in the last month and a half, we've had 3 of the games that are on this list released. In the last 3 months, we've had 4 of them. Like, they have been stacked this year at the end of the year. I don't...
Whereas 2017 was all super early stacked. Like, at least 3 of the 25 of 2017 were released before the second week of March.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, from like what you were saying, like, the games from like 2017 were definitely way more like mass market, like everybody had heard of those games, versus this year there are more, like Alan Wake 2, it's like very big with people that play games, and like it's on that list because games media is really enjoying it. Like these games usually are, because that's who nominates them. But like, it's not like Alan Wake 2 is going to be on like the NPD for like bestsellers.
Right.
Even though, like, you know, from what everyone says, it's a good game.
I've always wanted to get into the Alan Wake game, and I guess now series.
I think I played like half of the first one when I worked at GameStop.
I own the first one on Steam. I just have not gotten around to playing it. I wish I had played it during October. I wish I didn't do Dead October and just did Scary. Just did Scary.
I take that back also. I did not play it at GameStop. It came out in 2010. I did not work there at that point. I have never played Alan Wake, apparently.
No way Alan Wake came... maybe. I felt like that was way earlier than 2010.
The Steam page says it's 2012, but I guess that's just the PC version.
Yeah, Windows was 2012. Okay. The Xbox 360 version was May of 2010. Which, like, I definitely would have thought it was earlier, too. I'm thinking of Alone in the Dark. There was an Alone in the Dark 360 game that came out, like, 07, 08.
Uh-huh.
I played half of that at GameStop. And, like, wasn't awful. Wasn't good, but wasn't awful. Somewhere in between. But yeah, so, like, Game Awards are happening, like we said. Apparently, indie games are no longer indie games. But Rich, would you like to talk a little bit about the Marvels?
Sure, we can talk about the Marvels. Guys, go see the Marvels.
No.
Literally the best Marvel movie to come out within the past, like, 6 or 7 years.
That's not what reviews say.
That's a low bar.
I don't know what reviews are saying. I don't give a shit. This movie is fucking great. It's so fun. It's silly. It brings back, like, original Marvel fun and silliness. It's not just like, I'm so serious and I have to be, like, hard-hitting. No, it's just a fun fucking movie.
I mean, that's kind of been my problem with the Marvel movies, though, is they don't take their serious stuff actually seriously, and they have to crack jokes in between it.
But that's the like, people complain about DC movies because it's too serious and too dark and there's no fun, and then you're going to complain about this because it's fun. Like, what the fuck do you go to a movie for? You go to a movie to have fun and be entertained. This is entertaining. Yeah. This is absolutely entertaining.
I'm not saying it about this one in particular. I mean, like, look at, like, Thor: Love and Thunder. Every meaningful moment, they punctuated with a joke.
Yeah.
That movie had no actual drama to it because they ruined all the drama.
Yeah, like they literally made Thor: Love and Thunder into, like, basically a teenage coming of age story for Thor. Fucking, like, he was always nervous around Jane and whatnot, and, like, it was just being like a will they, won't they kind of weird situation and whatnot. But this movie itself, like, the dynamic between the 3 characters is great. It's so fun. Like, you learn a little bit more about Carol Danvers. You get to learn a bit about what's her name, Monica Rambeau. If you didn't want, I think you can easily jump into this movie without having had watched Miss Marvel. You can easily jump into these movies without having had watched either of the series that these 2 other characters. They explain their powers or how they got their powers. It's kind of a throwaway line, which, like, you know what? It's superhero world, so it just doesn't really matter. I was confused at one point, and I'm not going to consider this really a spoiler, but at one point, Miss Marvel's bracelet comes off, but she still uses her light powers, even though her bracelet's off and not on her, which I was a little confused about.
Meaning that the movie makers and the show makers did not have a conversation that she needs the bracelets to do her power. Or it's just a weird continuity error.
Probably. Unless, like, there was something that I missed in the Miss Marvel show that was like, oh, like, the bracelet unlocked her powers or something. Because they also hinted at the whole, oh, you've got a mutant gene in you, or something like that. So maybe that's, like... I was a little confused about that. I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. But other than that, like, the movie is really fun. It can be serious when it needs to be serious, but it's just fun and it's entertaining. And I was laughing and smiling, and even at 1 or 2 points dancing throughout the entire movie. Like, it's just so, it's great. I loved it. And like, I don't understand where, it might be because of, superhero, fatigue. Or Marvel fatigue. It might be part of that. It might be just because there hasn't really been a lot of movies coming out this year because a lot of stuff has been canceled and stopped. And so things have been postponed. That, like, people are getting very, I don't know, just trying to be, like, very particular about how they rate their movies. Like, I haven't read the reviews.
So the legitimate reviews are actually not bad for this. Like, I was kidding. It's most of the critics are... And you figure, like, most Marvel movies, like, they review well enough. Like, they get decent scores, but it's usually, like, the actual, like, bulk of the review is, like, you know, like, it's formulaic, like, it's not doing anything new, a lot of that. From what I've seen, apparently, and I forget her name, the actress for Miss Marvel is apparently, at least in this case, the actor that they point out as the best part of the movie.
Mm-hmm. She's great. She's great. Iman Vellani is fantastic.
But,
that's the name, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, I definitely, like, I have superhero fatigue. Like, I'm at the point, like, I just don't want to watch any of these anymore. I especially don't want to go to the theater for them. And, like, when I think about it, I'm like, that's $15 I don't need to spend. And
that's the thing, like, that's, a lot of people, I saw somebody commenting, someone that I have networked with in streaming, they were commenting about Five Nights at Freddy's having had made, like, 5 times their budget back already. And it's only been out for a few weeks. Whereas Miss Marvel is struggling, or the Marvels is struggling to reach its budget. Like, it's struggling. It'll probably reach it, but it's struggling. And I understand, like, superhero fatigue. There's a lot of superhero shit out there.
This one's at least short. Like,
this one, yeah.
I don't want to go watch a 4-hour fucking movie in the theaters anymore.
Based on the track record of Marvel, like, Drew, I know you said, like, oh, that doesn't say much, when I was like, this is the best movie in, like, 5-6 years. Like, when was Endgame?
2019.
2019. Was it 2019?
Yeah, it was
because it was pre-COVID.
Because
Captain
Captain Marvel came out in February, Endgame came out in May, and then Spider-Man Far From Home came out in July.
Yeah, and, like, since Endgame, there were some good Marvel movies, at least in my opinion. They're not as bad as people say they are, but, like, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, both fantastic movies. Fantastic movies. I thought Shang-Chi was fun. I didn't think it was the best, but I at least enjoyed that. I like that style of movie. But then there are movies out there that I thought Black Panther was fucking hot garbage. I was bored, and it just tried to do too much, and it wasn't a superhero movie. We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
I when it comes to, like, some of the more controversial movies, I tend to, like, I thought Thor: Love and Thunder was exactly what I was expecting from a Thor movie. I was absolutely bored with Black Widow. But overall, like, this is what I expected from this movie, and this movie was just fun because it brought in these new characters, or at least one of these new characters, or this one new character that we don't really have. We only have the one series of knowledge about, who is just a generally fun character. And, like, maybe I'm such a fanboy that I can just connect with her, just being how excited she is to be there.
Totally possible.
But, and that's, I think I disagree with a lot of the people where they're saying this this phase has been more bad than good. I disagree. I think it's middling, but it has been higher middling, if not. I think it had its peaks and it had its lows, but it's primarily been middle of the line to higher. I don't think it's been as bad as people say it.
It's not as bad as people say, but people also over exaggerate this stuff because you're hearing from the vocal minority the most.
Yeah.
Where it's the same way that like people are celebrating that this movie did bad in the box office. It's like, why? Why does that even matter to you?
And that's, I completely understand. People aren't going to see the movie because I feel like a lot of people in the world are like you, Cobb. They don't want to go to the movies anymore. They don't. I understand.
Yeah. Like, I like the movies. It's just like, the movies that I would want to go see in the theaters, like, they're not really coming out anymore because they don't make money. They go right to streaming. Or it's stuff that where, like, the audience is shitty. Like, too many people pay for these movie tickets and don't watch the fucking movie. And like, I'm not spending $30 on a movie for Erica and I and fucking not able to concentrate on the movie. I still say,
you have had 1 million more issues than I've ever had. I've never had any issues at the movie theater.
We also go at very different times, too.
Yeah. I used to go, I went to a matinee for the Marvels on Friday because I just had the day off, so I went on a matinee. Otherwise, it would have been an early showing on Saturday or Sunday. Probably first or second showing.
So we do a lot of afternoons because, like, waking up for like a 10 o'clock movie is just not worth it.
That's what a matinee is.
Oh, I thought you did like the early one, like the pre-12 o'clock.
This week I did a matinee.
Oh yeah, a weekday matinee? Yeah, like those are fine. Yeah. But like, we can't do a weekday matinee. So it's like, go to the movie on like a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon and everyone sucks.
Yeah.
It's not worth waking up early or going at 8 o'clock for a 3-hour movie. Marvel's is different. Marvel's, it's like an hour 45. Like, a nighttime movie for that wouldn't necessarily be a bad time.
Marvel's is the shortest movie by about 8 minutes.
Yeah, like
in all of the MCU.
Like, I would not have a problem like leaving that movie at 11 o'clock and being fine. But like, you go see Black Panther at 8:30, you're not getting home till 2 in the fucking morning, most likely.
Yeah, Black Panther was just I understand people being fatigued. It is a lot. I feel this way kind of with Star Wars. With how many Star Wars series I've watched them all except for Andor. I haven't watched Andor yet. And that now there's another fucking season of Obi-Wan coming out. Like, what the fuck else are you gonna do with Obi-Wan?
Did they really announce that?
I saw somebody announce it, and then I checked online, and it's like second season is slated to come out, or is slated to start production soon, or pre-production. Like, I don't know, I saw a post on Facebook, I wasn't sure if it was real or not, and then I looked it up, and I saw something say, like, there is going to be a second season of Obi-Wan.
No, it does not look like that's the case. Literally, in April, Kathleen Kennedy said there was no plans for season 2. Like, or it was not in active development.
Alright. Which is good then, because we don't fucking need it. But,
yeah, like, there are just a lot of websites that take, like, a random thing that Ewan McGregor said and spins it into, like, here's all the details we have about Obi-Wan season 2.
Yeah. And so, like I get it. I haven't watched Loki. I haven't spent the time to sit there and watch a new season of Loki, and I'm already getting spoilers from it. Even though the finale now is a week old, so. But like, I get it. There's a lot of content, and at this point, to spend that much money to go to the movies, and you're right, like, for a matinee, for me, it was $30, because I also got a small popcorn and a bottle of water. Still cost me $15 for concessions. And so it was like, it's a commitment that, like, what if you don't want to go? I understand not wanting to go to the movies. I like the idea of being able to just rent the thing for 24 hours, but just don't charge me $40 to fucking do that. Charge me ticket price of $15, and I'll do that at home.
Yeah, like, I'm at the point now, like, when Marvels comes out, I'll probably watch it. Probably. There's a good chance, too, that I'll forget about it. Well, it comes out on, like, streaming.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not going to rent it, because I just don't care. So it'll be whenever it hits Disney Plus as just, like, part of the subscription. and it'll probably be weeks or months later because I'll just forget that it's there. Like the same reason I haven't bothered with Guardians 2. Like it's not that I just don't want to watch it. Like I don't care about Guardians 3 at all. But like
Guardians
I also just never think
also,
about it.
Guardians 3 was also so good.
I don't care about them though. Like that's the thing. Like after Endgame, I don't care about any of those characters.
Yeah, well then that's more the thing is Endgame was Endgame. Like that was like a lot of the people who jumped into the MCU were like, all right, this is it. Like, yeah, there's bigger heroes, there's bigger villains out there, but it is hard to live up to Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah, and it's not even so much that like I didn't hate Guardians 2, but like it is one of like the bottom tier Marvel movies for me. Like I liked Black Widow more than Guardians 2. And like their parts in Endgame and Infinity War were most of the parts I liked the least. Like I did not like the Quill, Gamora, like I didn't like any of that stuff. And it's not, and like I'm not like a person that hates Chris Pratt the way the rest of the fucking world does. I think he's in a little too much, but like I don't have any issue with him being in stuff.
To sidetrack, when it comes to the Chris Pratt hate, I think people are overreaching their hate for Chris Pratt. And I feel like a lot of it is unjustified. I feel like fine, if you're not going to like him, don't like him, but don't not like him because of, oh, he said, thank you for giving birth to our healthy child, and take that as a dig to his ex-wife and who gave birth to a handicapped child. Don't do that. It's, oh my god. I hate the hate for Chris Pratt. He's in a lot. He's in too much. I hate the hate for Chris Pratt because I feel like some of it is overrated.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, people just like to hate because he got cast and everything and he has some weird personal stuff. But he doesn't seem like a malicious person.
No.
No. But, like, beyond that, yeah, like, those characters were fantastic in their first movie. They have been middling to annoying ever since.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just, I don't care how their movie wrapped up in the least. And it's another movie that's like 2.5 hours long. Like, there are better things I can do with 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those things, like, when Erica and I, like, watch movies on, like, New Year's. Maybe that's one of the movies that, like, we throw on. But also, there's a bunch of other not Marvel movies I'd rather watch. So, like, if those movies are available for streaming and I don't have to rent them, like, why would I watch a Marvel movie that neither of us give a fuck about when there's other stuff that both of us would rather watch?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, eventually, like, I am sure there will be another, like, if whatever they make another Spider-Man movie, I will be a little more interested in seeing that. Don't know that I'll go see it in the theater, but, like, it would still be one of those things where, like, I might even rent it when it comes out. Same thing like Deadpool, maybe.
What about X-Men?
No. They didn't do a very good job with the original X-Men movies. Marvel hasn't done a good job. Like, I legitimately don't think Marvel is good at making these movies anymore because they're all just set up for what comes next. I've said that before.
Well, if they stopped using Kevin Robot, maybe.
Yeah. Like, it's just that these movies are just them wanting to make money. They follow the same formula in every fucking movie, and half of the movie is just little Easter eggs for what they're going to do after this. Like, I have no faith in them doing a good Fantastic Four or X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, yeah. Like, we got the best X-Men movie with fucking Logan already and the Deadpool movies. And, like, I am morbidly curious about Deadpool 3, only because now it's being done by Marvel. And I'm like, how much are they going to, like, constrict that to, like, what they want it to be?
I mean, it's still going to be rated R. They've come out and said that it, like, I think, I'm pretty sure I've seen Ryan Reynolds say, like, it has to be rated R. Like, he's not going to do a Deadpool movie that's not That's not necessarily what I mean. Like, I don't mean them having to make it, like, family-friendly. I mean, how much of this is going to be a Kevin Feige movie, where it's just setting up what they want to do with Deadpool and anyone in that movie after that movie. Yeah, I see, and that's where the dilemma comes in when it comes to the MCU of why not. Obviously, they're not going to because they're going to make lots of. Obviously, they're not going to make lots of money because the Marvels, one of their best movies that come out in this phase, is not making the money back. Why not make them series? Why not make like just an MCU series on Disney Plus?
I don't think they're getting as many viewers on that stuff either.
They might not be, and like I said, I haven't watched Loki yet. It is 100%. It's superhero fatigue for sure.
If Disney Plus wasn't bundled to my Hulu, I would have canceled Disney Plus already, because I literally have not opened that app since, what came out first, what came out second, Miss Marvel or She-Hulk?
I think it was She-Hulk was second.
So I think the last time I opened that app to watch something was She-Hulk, unless maybe Mandalorian season 3, if that came afterwards.
Yeah.
I forget like what order it came in, but it's been over a year or close to a year. Cause like there's nothing on there. Like I don't like Disney original content all that much. And like the Marvel and Star Wars stuff is not good.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that. Like the Marvel series have actually been decent for the most part, because they have the time to like, you know, they can foreshadow things, but they can also tell a story, which they can't do in their 4 fucking hour movies for whatever reason.
But I feel like they told a better story in this hour and 45-minute Marvels than they did in the 3+ hour Black Panther.
It's almost like you don't need 4 hours to tell a fucking movie story. It's almost like you can tell a compelling story in 90 minutes. Like most Disney animated movies were for decades.
Yeah.
Like, fucking Lion King is like 87 minutes. There's not a single Marvel movie that's better than the fucking Lion King. You know what's sad? Fucking Mufasa.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Rich, do you want to move on and talk about Attack on Titan?
Sure, I can if you want to.
I mean, I don't, but you watched it, so let's hear about it.
Neither do I. Fucking 13 hours in one day. I don't know why I did that to myself. Because it was almost done after the 7-hour mark. I was like, I'm so close.
13 and a half hours. It was almost done after the 7-hour mark. I only had 7 more hours.
6
and a half.
But the last 2 was 2.5 hours. So the infamous Attack on Titan final season 1, 2, and 3, and final episode. Yes, the final episode was released separately from the rest of them all. Fucking God. Attack on Titan. It's too long. The final season was too long. I was bored.
Well, which final season? Because there have been 13 of them.
The first final season. So final season part 1, I think, was the most boring and had the least... had the most information, kind of, but also had the least importance. So it starts off with a 4-year time jump. And in this 4-year time jump, it doesn't say 4 years later at all, but you're just following a separate set of people for the first 3 episodes, for the first half of the first episode, if not the first full episode, before they introduce a character from the original season, from the first 3 seasons. And the character is now 4 years older, so you don't recognize that character because they're 4 years older until they say, oh, it's Reiner, the fucking Armor Titan. And I'm like, oh, so what happened in 4 years? Why has it been 4 years? We ended season 3 with them reaching the ocean. What the fuck happened? And now it's just 4 years later? And, like, things have had, like, I would have preferred maybe it to pace differently to where, like, what they did is they sprinkled what happened in the 4 years as, like, flashbacks throughout the 30 fucking episodes of this season. Yes, 80 episodes in all of Attack on Titan. 30 of them were the last season. I had somebody to me. I had somebody ask me, like, what did you think of Attack on Titan? And I was like, I think the last season was hot garbage. It was boring. It was too long. And he's like, but it's a 10-year series, generational. I'm like, yeah, 10 years with the last season being the last fucking 5. And I'm not even kidding. It's maybe 4. The last season took 4 years. You can't call that generational. You can call that slow. You can't even call that slow. But, like, the ending itself made no sense. Like, Cobb, you're not going to finish watching it, right? Or you don't care?
I have no intention of it. Like, I'm honestly not sure if Erica likes it or not. Like, I'll probably at some point ask if she wants to. But, like, we watched the first 2 seasons, and I think the first episode is season 3, and, like, I haven't seen a single episode that I care about.
So, you find out throughout the first 2 seasons that, in order to create the Special Titans, somebody has to be turned into a Titan, and then that Titan has to eat the person who is the Special Titan. You learn in the lore, and this is where, like, the series stands. The series has good lore. You learn in the lore that there are these 9 special Titans that are like, they're known as the 9 Titans or something like that. I don't really know. But there's 9 special Titans. One of them is the Founder Titan, and then you have like, Eren was the Attack Titan, the Armor Titan, the Colossal Titan, so on and so forth. You learn that there's all these Titans out there, that if you become that Titan, you have 13 years from the point you become that Titan to live. But you have to become a Titan to eat the Titan, so otherwise, basically, if you didn't eat that Titan, you would have been dead anyway, because you're a Titan. You can't go back. You can't change back from a Titan to a human without eating one of the 9.
Wait, how did that one girl then, like the girl that turns into the weird little like monster Titan thing, like she was alive for like a really long time, I thought.
She was alive as a Titan for a really long time.
So once they become a Titan, they can stay a Titan for a long time, but they can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But once that Titan eats a special Titan, which that's what that one did, Ymir ate the original Jaw Titan, became the Jaw Titan themselves, but then would have only had 13 years from the point of their life, basically. So you learn all of this in the original series. And throughout that, Eren, did he eat one of the other Titans? No, I think he might have eaten a special Titan while also being the Attack Titan. I don't remember, but he starts collecting Titan powers, basically. He ate one other special Titan, and then in the early parts of the final season, he eats another special Titan and gets their power. The whole idea of this series is basically to figure out to get control of the Founder Titan, and basically cause genocide by turning the people who can, only the race of people. So there are 2 races of people in this world. There are the people that can't become Titans and the people that can. I can't remember their names. Marleyans are the ones that can't, and then I can't remember their names. But it's basically the Nazis versus the Jews. And so the people who can become the Titans, they're ostracized. They have to wear armbands. They're held in encampments or gated communities. They are representations of the Jewish people. The plan that Eren decides to start doing is to take control of the founding Titan and make it so that those people cannot procreate, therefore ending the Titan's ability to ever live and stopping the Titan War. And he gets that from his brother, who ended up being the Beast Titan. So Eren's dad was from Marley, and they had a kid, and they were trying to raise, and were these people that can turn into the Titans, and were raising their kid to be a rebel, and the kid didn't like that, so he told on them, and that's Eren's brother who becomes the Beast Titan, and in the Marleyans will take the people who can turn into Titans to Paradise Island, which is the island that the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan takes place on, inject them with the Beast Titan's spinal fluid and turn them into Titans. And it's basically banishment for them. But somehow, I can't remember, Eren's dad didn't become a Titan and knew about the Founder Titan and knew about all this stuff and turned Eren into the Attack Titan, which is everything you find out in season 1, and just had this great life with his new son after basically abandoning his old son because he was forcing his old son to be a rebel that he didn't want to be a rebel of. So Eren's brother,
this whole show just sounds like complete utter trash.
Eren's brother, who was resentful to his dad for having a fucking family after Eren's brother causes his parents to be banished, wants to end his people's bloodline by causing them to not be able to procreate. So in order to do that, they need the blood of a royalty and the Founder Titan's power to talk to the goddess Ymir to have her change the bloodline of the people that follow her, of the people that can turn into the Titans. And Eren agrees to this. And, this is all like some backstory and some final season. Eren gets the blood of the royalty, Eren gets what he needs, and they go back to Paradise Island, and the Marleyans start to attack the Paradise Island people, the people who can turn into the Titans. and some shit happens. I just put it that way. Shit happens. Eren gets shot in the neck and his head comes off from getting shot in the neck by pretty much, they were calling it an anti-Titan rifle. It's an anti-tank rifle. It's powerful enough to cut through a Titan's skin and make a big hole. Shoots Eren in the neck and his head comes off. And his head lands on his brother, the Beast Titan's hand. And Eren happened to just be alive at the time he touched his head, his severed head touched his brother's hands, to where they were able to do what they needed to do because they were touching with the royal blood and this and that, to where they could talk to the goddess Ymir. 2 episodes go by with them in this dream state of Eren being 1 second from death. In a dream state where they're trying to, learn about their past, which we've already seen.
I mean, look, and time flows differently in dreams. That's an acceptable anime condition.
It is, but it's still this is the push of it way too long. And so 2 episodes go by where finally Eren is able to take control, and he changes the plan, and he changes his mind and turns into the Founder Titan, which is just a giant pair of legs, taller than a Colossal Titan pair of legs, with a spinal cord that goes miles, and a head with ribs on it. Or ribs are on the spinal cord. It makes no sense. It shouldn't be able to move around. I don't get it. But he then uses his Founder Titan's power to take control of the Colossal Titans and start to attack Marley. Because this is his only way of figuring out how to stop everything. Because he has unlimited powers of a god. And so he decided that I have to kill all the Marleyans. Because I have the powers of a god, and so I'm going to kill the Marleyans. I'm going to kill the Nazis. So now it's Nazis versus Nazis. Everyone goes to...
I don't see myself ever wanting to actually finish this series.
No, just wait. They then have to figure out a way to get to Eren. Characters die. They find a way to get to Eren. And they have this final stand on this plateau in the desert in the Marleyan Empire, and they get ready, and they go to fight, and they fight, and they fight, and they fight. The last 2 episodes are 2.5 hours. An hour for the second to last, and an hour and a half for the last. They couldn't even do the last 2 episodes right, because each of them were broken up into parts. The second to last episode was 2 chapters, and the last episode was 3 chapters. 5 episodes. So
I'm honestly surprised you actually watched it all.
What set me off is how it ends, because they fight Eren, and there's really no really cool. There are a few cool fight sequences. There are a few interesting fight sequences, but it's really not a lot of action in this last season. But they go to fight Eren, and they defeat Eren. And they defeat Eren with love, basically. What happens is they find a way to sever his head, which then in turn releases the creature that is essentially the Founder Titan, or the personification of the goddess Ymir, who can create Titans and starts to control, who can turn the people who can turn into Titans, and turns a lot of the people that were left, a lot of the survivors, into Titans to go and fight the surviving people who aren't turned into Titans, and to stop the war and whatnot. They end up defeating Eren by having Mikasa, who somehow wasn't somebody who had the blood to turn into a Titan, but she lived on Paradise Island for the longest time, so it makes no sense. She literally was born on Paradise Island. She should have been one of those people that can turn into a Titan. She goes into Eren's mouth, where then Eren is just sitting there in his mouth, and she cuts his head off. And she kills Eren. That's the end of the 4th of 5 chapters in the last 2 episodes. The first chapter, or the last chapter, the first 15 minutes, basically, in my opinion, they pulled an Evangelion, where it's just Eren and fucking Armin talking.
Well, apparently everyone hated the way the manga ended, so they must have been trying to course correct.
And from what I hear, they didn't. It's like they didn't. So it's Eren and Armin talking, and basically you find out is that Eren had this plan hatched to where he was going to force everyone to kill him. And in order to save the world, he needed to do this plan, which kills 80% of humanity on the planet, reducing the
Seems reasonable.
Reducing the amount of people who live on this planet outside of Paradise Island to the same number of people who live on Paradise Island. He has the power of the gods, and rather than just saying, "Hey God, no more Titan powers," he says, "Hey God, I'm going to kill everyone so that my friends kill me, so that in doing so, there are no more Titan powers."
Again, seems reasonable.
Why didn't... Why? Why? I was so mad. So, Mikasa cuts off his head. You find out that they have this conversation, like, Eren and Armin have this conversation 5 episodes prior or more, but Eren erased his memories of the conversation that he had with Armin and everyone else that he was friends with until he died. So everyone thought they were doing this of their own free will to go fight him, but it was really like, oh, this is what Eren wished, and they were following his free will. And the whole point of the season is supposed to be, you all have your own free will to do whatever the fuck you want, but it ends up being, no, Eren was running the show and no one has their own choices. It makes no sense. If Eren is a bad person, it's flat out 100%. Eren's a bad person. And it turned into, even tweeted it, Attack on Titan turned into Nazis versus Nazis. Because the Marleyan people hated the people that are the personification of Jewish people. And then the people of Paradise Island hated everyone else in the world because they weren't people of Paradise Island.
I mean, that's not just Nazis. That's basically all of human history.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was exhausting. But like, at one point, I was like, all right, I think it was like 10 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I have the last 2 episodes left. And it might have been later than that. It might have been like 11. I have the last 2 episodes left. Fuck it. Let's just do it. Because I'm not going to want to do this. Because I was bored. And like, they do some things like, one of the characters becomes a Titan, and becomes the Beast Titan, becomes the Jaw Titan. And then from becoming the Jaw Titan, also because of how he became the Beast Titan, he had part Beast Titan in him. He's like a hybrid Beast Jaw Titan and can fly, which Titans aren't supposed to be able to fly. And so like, oh, this is a great evolution for Titans. Titans can now fly because Titan warfare, the whole world was Titans versus the world, basically. And since aerial warfare was starting to become a thing, Titans were becoming obsolete. Well, no, this Titan can fly, so there's not obsolete. Oh, Eren gets killed, and the only way to stop all Titans was to kill Eren, and everyone who became Titans are no longer Titans. So this kid, who is now a flying Titan that they made a big deal about that he could fly, is not even a fucking Titan anymore, so it doesn't matter that he can fly.
You know, you could have just stopped watching. If you weren't having a good time, you could have just not finished.
I had to finish. It was...
No, you didn't. I promise.
It was the ending. It was how it ended. That is like, I'm like... Overall, I was watching it, I was like, okay, but wait, why? But okay. And then they would have those occasional fight scenes that, like, this was good, and that was good, and, oh, this is an honorable death, and okay, I liked this. But then it was just how it ended, where it was just like, oh yeah, by the way, I told you, 12 hours ago, and in a memory you won't unlock until I'm dead, that I'm going to, no matter what, kill 80% of population on the planet. There's no other way to do this. I couldn't have just used my powers to not have Titans anymore. I had to kill humanity.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man, if you weren't having a good time, you could have just not finished it and done something better.
No, I would have always been like, I have to finish it, even after, but I finished it, it's done. Attack on Titan, don't watch it. Don't watch it. It was a waste of time to watch it. At least it was a waste of time to binge it. If you are a fan of the series, don't binge it. I don't know, maybe binge it, because I feel like if I had watched it week to week, I would have hated it more, because it would have been a lot more of nothing in a few episodes, for like 6 weeks. Yeah, not including the times that it wasn't even airing.
Yeah, having watched as much of it as I did, I don't understand why people liked any of this show. Like, none of the characters are likable. Like, the world is semi-interesting, but like, it's not enough to make me want to keep watching it. I didn't want to keep watching it past season 1, but I saw season 2 was short. I'm like, okay, well maybe it gets good here. And like, it didn't.
It was like, and that's like, I can't remember season 2. I really can't. I know season 1 ends with learning about the Wall Titans and then season 2, I don't remember season 2 at all. I just remember season 3 was when you had the giant, weird, gross fucking Titan, that was like half a body or some shit like that.
I never got that far.
Yeah. It just, yeah, oh my god.
I generally watch stuff, though, for, like, characters. And it's not even that they were, like, unlikable, because they were, but they weren't even, like, the fun unlikable where it was fun to dislike them. They were just fucking boring. Not a single character in that series is fucking interesting.
You're right. The characters, what pulled me into it were the lore and the idea of this world. And, like, then when you find out, like, oh, there's, like, a whole separate war going on, and the world isn't just the island that they're on. Like, they're just on an island, and there's actually a whole nother, like, society living off the island and whatnot. Like, that was like, that's what I was like, all right, this could be good. But let's see, season 4, episode 1, which was episode 660, aired on December 7th of 2020.
Yeah, 3 years to finish a season.
3 years to finish a 30-episode season.
I mean, to be fair, like, COVID happened. So, like, it was in production through all of that. But still, like...
But...
that show, like, it didn't need a 30-episode final season. It would have been fine with a 13-episode final season from the sound of it.
Yeah, I mean, season 3 was 22 episodes.
Then that was probably too long, judging by what I saw of season 3. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about Attack on Titan before we move along, though?
Just if you haven't watched it, don't watch it. Just don't watch it.
Fair. So I have been watching over the last couple of weeks the 2008 sci-fi show Fringe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that at all.
I think so. That had that guy in it. Yes, that's very specific.
It had Pacey from Dawson's Creek.
Who?
I vaguely remember the name of the show, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's Joshua Jackson. He was Charlie in the Mighty Ducks.
Right.
He is in it. Anna Torv is in it, who was in the first 2 or 3 episodes of The Last of Us on HBO. She was Tess, like Joel's partner and love interest before she died. And then John Noble, who was the dude in the one Lord of the Rings movie that ate like the fucking peach or whatever, really gross.
Mm-hmm.
But John Noble's amazing. Like he was also in the show Sleepy Hollow and was very good in that, and he's been in tons of other stuff. And Lance Reddick is in it.
Oh.
Yeah, he's very good in it too. But yeah, so it's a show about like an FBI unit. It's the Fringe division where like they investigate like fringe science stuff, like weird shit that doesn't make sense. So kind of like X-Files-y, but more grounded in science. Like especially like the first season, a lot of the stuff is like, this isn't real. This is definitely science fiction, but like people definitely tried to do this at some point or another. Like, there's a lot of like bioweapon stuff and like weird viruses, things like that. By season 2, they start diving into like, alternate realities and stuff like that. And it gets a little more far-fetched, but like still good. And it goes from more of a like, almost more of like a procedural, like Monster of the Week series to more of a larger overarching plot by like the middle end of the second season. But like the setup is, Anna Torv's character, Olivia Dunham, is an FBI agent. She basically gets recruited into this Fringe division from Lance Reddick, who she does not get along with at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And they have to, I forget exactly what the case was in the first episode, but it involves something that John Noble's Walter Bishop had done years prior. But he has been in a mental institution for the last 20 plus years after like an experiment went wrong and somebody died and he kind of snapped. And the only way he is like in like a heavy asylum or mental institution, whatever. And you're not allowed to see him unless you're a family member. So they track down his only living family member, which is his son, Peter, who he's estranged from, who does not like him, and who is also very smart, but also kind of a scoundrel. Like he runs a lot of cons and has some shady friends and shady past stuff. So like the first season is very much like an Odd Couple setup, but like it's fun. They have a cow in their lab just because fucking Walter wanted a cow.
I think I vaguely I think I watched 1 or 2 episodes of this. I'm on the IMDb, and it's showing where, like, all the people are on the plane, and they're just dissolved. That's, like, the first episode.
Yeah, that was one of the early ones for sure. Yeah, like a lot of weird stuff like that happens in the early ones. Like it's a lot of like I said, bioweapons and weird experimental stuff that early on there's a lot of things that like Walter may have been involved in when he was like, because he worked for the government, and like that trickles through a lot of it. But then it there's also just a lot of, he's incredibly smart, and if you give him enough time, his eccentric ways, he won't, like, he's usually not the one that, like, solves the case, but, like, he'll find, like, the scientific link to the thing, or, like, find a way to, like, counteract something. In one episode, they had, there was a virus that got loose that, and, like, scientifically probably not completely impossible, it was a prehistoric virus. It had been found during, like, oil drilling, at a depth that put it, like, 75 million years ago. And some douchebag thought it would be worth money and stole the sample and kept it in a not secure container and got infected, and then created like a little mini outbreak in like a hotel or something like that. And so like that whole episode was like them trying to figure out what this virus was and how to counteract it, because once you hit symptoms, you were dead within like 20 minutes. And like the government was just going to kill everybody in there because they couldn't figure out a solution. So the only way to stop a virus from spreading is just to fucking kill everybody that might potentially have it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you know, that's our government, right?
Yep.
But yeah, it's a weirdly good show. And like I said, like the first season or so, it's got that procedural thing, because like there's a little bit of an overarching plot. Like there's some like things that carry between episodes and like little mini arcs early on. But it is very much just like monster of the week, like villain of the week stuff. But once it kind of hits its stride and like the characters start like coming together really well, like the overarching plots become really interesting. We're like early middle season 3 right now, and like they have fully gone into like multiverses. Like there are 2 different universes. There are 2 Walters. They call the Walter in the other universe Walternate, and I think that's fantastic.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I saw it looks like they call the alternate version of Olivia, Folivia. Okay. Which also not bad. Not as good as Walternate, but like still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's just, they keep throwing in, interesting, twists to everything. Leonard Nimoy was in it for a while. I don't know if he'll be back or not, but you know, like Leonard Nimoy's great. I don't even like Star Trek, but it's Leonard Nimoy. I don't want to. I realize it's like a 10-year-old show, but like some of the stuff is actually pretty big. Like you don't see some of the twists coming until like they start really setting them up. But then once they're like all the way set up, you're like, oh, that's what they meant back in episode 1. Like they've actually been setting this up the whole fucking time. They played the long game. It's been 3 seasons. Good on you guys.
Gotta love good writing.
Well, like it was a Fox show.
Yeah.
Like, Fox, especially Fox sci-fi shows, they usually get a season and then they get canceled because Fox does them dirty. They put them on a shitty time slot, they air them out of order, they move them around, and they're like, oh, well, you had no ratings. It's like, well, yeah, motherfucker, you never gave us a chance.
Yeah.
But, Fringe got 5 seasons, and they knew going into the 5th season it was going to be their last, so they were apparently able to wrap it up, like, well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, every season, they've been introducing something new that expands on things from before it. Whether it's like backgrounds of the characters that like we've been around already and kind of like finding out more about them, or like seeing these alternate versions and like how different the world could turn out. Because it's basically like it's one of those. So far, at least, they only have one alternate universe. I don't know if it becomes like a multiverse thing at some point where there's just like infinite possibilities. But the one that they're, like, directly connected to, it's very much, like, a couple things went differently. And that world is, like, pretty drastically different. Like, Kennedy apparently never got assassinated. So, like, there's an offhanded, like, background radio show going on where they're talking about Kennedy stepping down from something in 2010. In the universe, like, the Twin Towers never got, hit. The Statue of Liberty is the base for the DOJ. And it's not green, it's its original bronze. So like they went out there and fucking power washed it. And then like technology is both like more like they've got modern technology, like our current modern technology with like cell phones and like smart boards and shit like that 2010 didn't have yet. But then they also have like blimps and shit still, because that's just the go-to like alternate timeline. Fucking blimps took off, which...
Well, I guess the Hindenburg never happened then either.
Yeah. But like, do you ever notice that? Like, if there is like an alternate timeline anything, fucking blimps are involved.
It's usually a Soviet-run alternate timeline, though.
Oh yeah, like it usually is, but or like a steampunky one in a lot of cases. But yeah, there's always fucking blimps. It's like, no, like that. We figured out blimps were not convenient. They're very expensive. They're very dangerous.
And you know how like the world is running low on helium?
Actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. Probably any of these airships aren't using helium. They're probably using hydrogen.
Oh, yeah, they're probably using hydrogen, aren't they? Sure.
Which, that's why the Hindenburg blew up.
Yeah.
Because it was hydrogen.
But...
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I always find that stuff weird. But yeah, it's a surprisingly good show. I saw like a video about it. And I'm just like, oh, right. Like, I remember that. I remember watching like an episode or two back when it came out and thinking it was okay, but like never really following up with it. And I saw it's on Max. So I asked Erica, I'm just like, hey, do you want to give this show a shot? Like, it's like a decade old, but like it's got 5 seasons, so it's not like it'll just be over immediately. Mm-hmm. And like, they did a really good job with it. Even like some of the, like the effects and stuff are not bad for Fox Television in 2008-ish.
Nice.
Like, yeah, like when they do, especially when they do like the viruses and stuff like that, or they have they're like robot shapeshifters. So they're like something from the alternate universe that can copy a person, but they kill the person to copy them. But like when they do like their deaths because they have to kind of like be shot through the head, the like bullet wounds that they always zoom in on because they have to show that it's mercury pouring out of them, like look pretty good for 15 years ago or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then like when people get like weird pustules and stuff and other stuff like that, it's pretty good. The only 2 things that really stood out as not looking great, there's an episode with Peter Weller, the RoboCop. And the stuff that he does a thing to his body in that episode that looks very fake. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of do like a Hills Have Eyes-esque episode where like there's an area full of people that are like deformed and like they look like monster people basically. And like that one looks a little cartoonish too. Like it looks like a movie from like the 80s that did like the like overly done prosthetics, but like it's still a good episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I said, it's 5 seasons. So we're like season 3. So we're like almost halfway done. But I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how the rest of it plays out.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I remember enjoying some of that series. I don't think I ever finished it or watched it all the way through. I got bored. It came out, what was it, 2007, you said?
2008 is when it started, and it ran to 2013.
Yeah, I was going to college at the time, so I wasn't watching it.
Yeah, and like, I guess I was in school at that time still, but like, it was just one of those shows where like, it was fine, but like, it wasn't a show that like I bothered like recording on like the Comcast DVR that I think I had in 2008, maybe.
Yeah.
So it was just like, you know, it was a thing that if I happened to be home, maybe I turned it on, but at that point I was also working at like 2008 would have been like GameStop and Circuit City maybe. So like I was working nights a lot. Like I wasn't home to watch TV. So unless I happened to be off the night of there, and I would have never seen it.
I was working fucking 50 hours a week at McDonald's while going to school full time. It's a shock I got anything done during that time.
That is true. That is very true. But yeah, highly recommend checking out Fringe if you just want kind of like that. So nice. Like sort of X-Files-y vibe.
Nice.
Yeah. Though I've never watched X-Files, so I can't confirm if that is actually true or not.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I've seen like random episodes of X-Files, but I've never actually watched the X-Files.
That was a show that back in the day my dad was way into and we would watch every week.
Yeah.
So I feel like I vaguely remember
a lot of the
that.
early X-Files.
My entire family would get around the TV and watch it every time it came on. I think my sister and mom might not have, so it was me, my brother, and my dad. Maybe my mom watched, but Yeah, we watched it all the way. I think all the way through to the end, and I think I tried to watch it once Netflix had it on streaming, and it's just the first couple of seasons are rough and boring as fuck. It's like 13 seasons too, though. Like it's long.
Yeah, but at a certain point, David Duchovny left, and no one liked it after that, even though they replaced him with Robert Patrick.
Yeah,
but I know I saw the first movie. It made no sense to me because I hadn't seen nearly enough of the show.
See, the first, like, the movie from when the series was still running?
Yeah.
See, that, you didn't really need to know the show. Like, he needed to know that they dealt with aliens and stuff.
See, I thought that, I remember that movie actually, like, being tied into the show more.
No, I don't think so.
You were like 4 years old when it came out. What do you know?
I mean, the first movie the series was 93. 93 to 28, oh no, that's right, they had the...
Yeah, they did the
second series, that, like, sequel series.
I think it ran to like 2000, 2001.
Remember?
2002. 11 seasons, 218 episodes.
Yeah. And I watched it when it came back, too. That was good.
But yeah, I remember it was 93 to... Well, not remember, I'm looking at it. It was 93 to 2002, and then 16 to 18. I didn't realize Did they do 2 seasons of the whatever you want to call it? The refresh?
I think they
did. I guess they did.
Yeah, I guess they did 2, like, mini-series seasons, like 2, like, 10-episode seasons or something like that.
Yeah, it was 6 episodes from January to February of 2016, and then 10 episodes from January to March of 2018. Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows? Maybe someday I'll give X-Files a shot, but I don't know. I feel like Fringe has, like, it's like a spiritual successor, but, like, a little more modern.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Rich, do you want to talk about Baldur's Gate, or do you want to, like, save that for another time? Because we're...
You know what? I'm
hour and 45.
I'm going to keep the listeners in suspense because I've already gotten angry enough talking about Attack on Titan.
All right. Good news.
Which
true.
Doesn't
Anything you want to talk about?
Just saying Baldur's Gate, not saying Baldur's Gate makes me angry, but it kind of does sometimes.
No, you absolutely are. But, Drew, did you have anything you want to mention?
Nope.
Man, do you need to play like a board game or something this week?
I mean, like, the PFL started back up, so that's been the main thing lately.
Oh, that eats up all your fucking time.
Yeah. It does.
Did you see, this is just board game related. I saw, Blood on the Clock Tower send an email about, like, something they're doing for, like, Christmas.
I didn't, like, actually read it. I know they're doing, like, a Christmas stream or something.
Oh, is that what it was?
If I remember correctly, but, like, the email I saw, the creator is now going to be on it, with...
Oh, well, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably wind up playing a bunch at PAX, so...
Do you know, are they running it there?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know who is, but I saw that it's on the schedule.
Nice. Yeah, man, that's only, like, 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, yeah, 2 weeks from this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. I didn't realize it was so close. But yeah, so I guess that will do it for this week then. Next week we're going to get to talk about the rest of World War Z. So we'll be finishing up World War Z next week, and then other stuff. I'll be at Anime NYC Friday and Saturday, so I will have that to talk about. And yeah, whatever else there is. But in the meantime, if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can rate us, review us, subscribe to us. Those things all help. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo, and you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, what is your streaming?
Check me out on twitch.tv/b_walnuts. We're on video game streaming. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday usually. Next week is going to be all over the place because of the holiday. So just find my Twitter and whatnot for my schedules. But I'll be mostly playing Baldur's Gate, Sea of Thieves, and who knows what else. Probably just those two. There might be actually... I might be doing something with Xeno Alien in December, because he wants to try something new in December.
Nice. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yas.
Bye.